Nathan Bird is in the
The
92
Xfinity
GGM
Series,
car.
the Cup Series, all head to New Hampshire this weekend. We get you ready from a betting perspective next on the NASCAR Betting Preview Show. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the NASCAR Betting Preview Show. Really excited for tonight. Obviously, we're going to have Phil on here in a little bit. We got our special guest join us as well. Look at the boys. Here we go. Look, got Johnny on the track joining us here. Got Phil. Got everything going on. So this is going to be good. Johnny, I appreciate you joining us. We'll get to intro with you in a second. Phil, I know you got a lot going on, so I'll give you a minute as well. And really looking forward to tonight. There's been a lot of conversation happening amongst the group chat, happening on X. Mark, I'm seeing you tweet a couple things. You just said a few things even to us here. So whether you're listening via live on YouTube or X, or even listening back to the show on the podcast feed, welcome. We want to hear from where you're at, what's going on, and let us know your plays as well. What are you interested in? What are you hearing? And what are you on this week? I think we're going to have a lot of really good conversation. If last week's show is any indication, I think we even dial it up a bit this week. So really looking forward to that. So I want to welcome on the panel now, and Phil, the Full Tank with Phil podcast. Phil, you dropped your episode here today. I've not listened to it yet. I was on the golf course. How are you doing?
Well, if you're on the golf course today, you're probably doing a little bit better than me, but yeah, feeling good. Got the episode out there. Excited to talk about this week. You know, New Hampshire has always been kind of a, before I, really started gambling on the sport, New Hampshire was always kind of like a take it or leave it type of deal for me. And gambling has completely made this track, it's given it a makeover in my eyes. So I'm excited to talk shop with the boys here tonight. And good to see Johnny on the track here with us as well. That's a nice surprise to me. And yeah, sorry I was a tad late here, but excited to get going.
Nope, not late at all. And really looking forward to hearing what you have to say tonight. We're going to do rapid fire a little bit different. We'll get to that here in just a moment. But we're going to do it a little different here tonight. Mark, how are you, my man? There's, like I said, there's been a lot of chatter. You've been causing a lot of conversation. There's a lot. I know you're ready to go. So how are we feeling?
Feeling good. Last night, I do my research Tuesday nights. I do all my research for both shows that I'm on. And, first I look for a matchup. I go in order of the show. Matchup, placement, outright, fun bet, best bet, value bet, whatever you want to call it. First bet I look at, I'm fired up about. I'm not quite ready to give it generational status, but I am quite fired up about. I was so fired up that I sent it to the boys, and I got a little bit of pushback. I didn't get a ton of pushback. I got a little bit of, I like it, I don't love it, but here's a reason why. Anyway, we're going to get into it. Derek said it, a lot of banter. I think tonight is going to be a good show, and we definitely have one generational bet, but we possibly could make it two. I could be talked off the ledge. It could just be a big bet. We'll see. I'm feeling good. I'm coming off of 3 straight losing weeks, though, just so everybody knows. And put that out in the open. I have lost money 3 straight weeks. It is painful around here. But what do? You get back on the saddle and you keep pounding. Okay? Not the Panthers, the Jaguars. Come on, let's roll.
I think Phil was on a losing streak here as of late, but then he started getting it back. So maybe that's just the same trend here for you.
Give it my way.
The month of May was bad for me, but the June has just been electric. So I'll pass the good vibes.
I like it. So passing the good vibes here. Ryan Stevens, wintherace.info. How are you doing?
Doing great, man. I look forward to this race. I know a little bit about what Mark's going to talk about. I think it'll be a fun conversation. I actually, while we were coming down the intro here and you were doing your intro thing, I actually put some money on this guy he's going to talk about. So
Oh.
let's have ourselves a fun show. Let's get into it.
Yeah, I think we should indeed. And our special guest here tonight, not new to the show or coming on or even being a part of the airways. It's Johnny on the track. Johnny does the best bets and drivers to watch. He does that every Tuesday, and we get that out throughout the week. And Johnny, the listenership, I should say, of that show, you have an absolute fan base that follows you religiously. I love looking at the numbers and seeing how well that's done. This week in particular is one of your favorites. This is your hometown race. You crush it when the series comes to New Hampshire. You're going to be in the race or at the race this weekend. So anybody attending, make sure you hit up Johnny on X. Check out his YouTube as well. So Johnny, how the hell are you?
Oh, dude, come on, Derek. It's New Hampshire week. I got 3 boys coming with me. First time at to a NASCAR race. Got some grandstand seats this year, but we also got VIP stuff. So I can't wait. It's going to be sweet. I'm going to apologize in advance because I know my laptop will at some point like crap the bed. I already see it lagging, but don't worry. You'll hear me. I promise I'll make my presence felt. Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on. And yeah, just nothing better than, in my opinion, than betting on New Hampshire. I feel like I know it well. I've been to this race. This is my 6th year in a row going to this race. So yeah, it should be fun. Can't wait.
Well, you crushed it last year. Had to have you back on this week as well. So I really appreciate you joining and all the conversations. So again, this is going to be a good show. So they're always good, but this is going to be probably a little bit of a notch above with conversations we're going to have tonight. So if you are watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to In Between Media, their YouTube channel. If you're watching on X, like, retweet so that your fans and followers, and if you're listening to the podcast, make sure you download that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode because we post a lot of different things. So, boys, let's get into rapid fire a little bit. We're going to do it a little different here tonight. I had something going in my brain of like, hey, I would love to hear conversations based on X. And what we're going to do tonight, which will be a little different, is I want you guys to sell me. I'm going to give each of you guys have a driver that I'll go over, and you need to sell me on this driver's going to make the playoffs and why, or this guy's going to miss it by a mile. So, Phil, you are up first here tonight, and the driver that you got is Alex Bowman, who's currently on the good side, but we know somebody from the outside looking in is probably going to win. Bowman's got an average finish of 13.2. He's a top 10 machine in 2024. Alex Bowman make the playoffs?
I'm going to say yes. I feel like if you're in that, first of all, you know that he's got the pressure on him. He said that he feels the pressure, which to me, you could take that in a number of different ways. I think in this particular case, it's okay to feel that pressure because that 48 camp, they have the ability to be sneaky. Like when I think of Alex Bowman, I think of sneaky wins. Like he kind of sneaks up on you and all of a sudden he can snag a race that we didn't really see him. And, that's well within his grasp to do something like that between now and the playoffs. So if he doesn't, I think that, rumors are really going to start to swirl and he knows that. So I can't pinpoint which track it would be, but I have to imagine you already mentioned he's to the good. You mentioned he's a top 10 machine. NASCAR put out a tweet like these are the guys who lead the standings in top 10s. There was 3 guys and he was the 4th. So keep doing what you're doing. I think you'll be okay if you're Alex Bowman in that 48 camp. So I'm going to say, he's in.
Okay, so a little love for Alex Bowman. He sucks here, by the way, traditionally in the next gen car. So we'll see what happens this weekend for him and some races coming up. And Mark, I'm going to throw one over to you. Joey Logano, not Joey Slogano.
That's an easy one. He's making the playoffs. The way that this guy has run as of late, especially on short flats, I've been eyeing him this week. I don't have any bets down on him. But like I say, Zach sends me the sheets. We got color coordination, a lot of green for Joey Logano. He's the Ford. They sucked. We all said it the first 10, 12 races of the year. Then we go to Kansas, Darlington, Wilkesboro. Then the Fords are back, right? Especially on short flats. They've figured out the mechanical grip. They may not have the horsepower still, but Joey Logano has run very well the last 4, 5, 6 weeks. I think that continues. Does Penske go back to back to back? Absolutely not. But Joey Logano makes his way into the playoffs. I think he's currently outside. Yeah,
Yep,
he
with
is.
6 points.
He is 17th. Yeah, behind 6 points behind Bubba. That's not going to last long. Joey Logano will win a race. Will be in the playoffs. Absolutely.
There's a driver I skipped, rightfully so. So Joey right now 17th. He's 6 points out. Ryan, your driver is Chase Briscoe. He's got 5 top 10s this year. Does he build on that? Is he not even making the playoffs?
Man, this is a tough one because there's a couple places I think he could do well. I mean, this being one of them, he's better, and the whole team's better on this in the short track package. They have Richmond still left to go.
Yep.
Daytona, I mean, he hasn't been the worst drafter in the next gen car. I mean, he's had some bad luck, but it's not like if you look at Greg's front runners, Briscoe's typically up there, running inside the top 10 quite a bit more than people realize.
Yeah.
But man, if you look at who's ahead of him, I have different standings than you too. I just pulled it up on NASCAR, and I have Logano in at 15th, and that's updated after Iowa. So I have Briscoe.
You gotta include the wins.
Yeah, yeah.
Cindric,
Oh yeah. My bad.
But that's okay. If you're calling me out like I have the wrong stats, that's okay. No problem. I didn't do my research.
Never.
No.
So
and
Briscoe,
the other thing, yeah.
I think he's too far out. I mean, look at the guys ahead of him and how they're running too. And we have, there's a couple of tracks Briscoe can do well on, but there's a lot more of a mix here where I think the guys ahead of him can maintain that position ahead of him. And I don't really see him winning. So, yeah, I think Briscoe's in big trouble here.
Well, and you also you forgot to mention Michigan as well. Michigan is just the Ford playground. I mean, they've won however many years in a row there. So that could be a race. And we know SHR has been known to go and score a W there. So that'll be an interesting driver. I'm going to give the next one here to Johnny, and you got Kyle Busch.
I say probably not, to be honest with you.
Okay, leaning no. Yep.
Yeah, I'm leaning no. It sucks because, one of my best bets last year was Kyle Busch over 1.5 wins on the season. When I made like my playoff predictions, I had Kyle Busch in the playoffs, so I'll probably look like an idiot if he does end up making it. But it's just like it's one of those years where like the dude just has bad luck, and we see that so many times in NASCAR where like sure, all it takes is one. But I see over the next 2 months as like the season really winds down, I don't feel confident that he can get a win. Like that 8 car is fast, but it's not a top 5 car really any week. It's more like around the top 8 to 10 range. So look, I love Kyle. I think like we need him in the playoffs because quite frankly, NASCAR is better with him in the playoffs in it. But yeah, I honestly don't see it happen. I like Joey Logano a lot more. And to me, like that's like the competition, Buescher, Bubba, those guys I feel more confident in at this point than KB.
Yeah, Kyle has 5 top 5s 5 top 10s this year, and his 24.5 average finish last 5. And there's a reason, guys, why I gave that one to Johnny and not any of you other clowns up here. So there's a reason for that. Phil, your driver next is Todd Gilliland.
No. Todd Gilliland, he's got to win. Let me pull it up. Let's see. He's 97 out. I mean, it's a must win. I think you would have to say Daytona for him. But as we have documented on probably the show, but I know on my podcast, like of the super speedways, he's much better at Talladega than he is Daytona. I don't know why. So I can't see him getting a victory, but I am on Todd. We're going to talk about Todd actually this week. Cool. So, but he's still worth betting on a week-to-week basis, but I can't see him making the playoffs.
And for everybody in the chat, I want to see what you guys are thinking as well as we get in through some of these drivers. Maybe somebody loves a driver we're going to be talking about here, but it's just, again, it's good to get some of these conversations. I want to see where some of these guys' heads are at. Mark, your driver is Josh Berry. He's got a 17.6 average finish last 5. He's got 3 top 10s, probably everybody's favorite driver in this group that has that potential element. But what do you think about Josh Berry? Is he going to sneak his way in?
That's a tough one. I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
He has been running better. I'll give you that. I think Stewart Haas as a whole, except for Ryan Preece, just throw him out. The other three have been running better, but I don't think it's good enough to overcome 100-point deficit to Bubba in the last spot. But there's been at least 2 races where Josh Berry has had race-winning speed. I had him 100-1 last week. He takes the lead with 70 to go. I immediately start shitting my pants. I mean, shit is literally running down my leg. And obviously it didn't work out, but, cautions and pit stops and 7th place and it's whatever. I just, he's got to win. I'm going to put that out there. Is Josh Berry going to win a race in the next 2 months? No. I'm going to say he's out. That's a tough ask. I understand Cindric's won, Gateway out of his ass. I get it. He needed some help. Josh Berry's going to need some help to win a race. It's absolutely possible. These guys are talking about it. This is what NASCAR is. It's super speedway win, you're in. Look at Daniel Suarez. He's ran like dog shit, but he's in the playoffs. I mean, it's possible, but no, Josh Berry's not in the playoffs.
No Josh Berry there. Let's go to a Front Row Motorsports team where Josh Berry will be racing next year, but not for this driver or this car. Michael McDowell. What do you think, Ryan? 15.2 average, last 5 top 10s. Road course, super speedway. Where's he getting at, if at all?
I'm not a big, I know there's this McDowell super speedway thing. I'm not big on him at super speedways. I think it'd be road course or bust. I don't think he's going to win Chicago Street, and that's all you got till the end here. So, nope, I don't think McDowell makes it. Front Row is going to miss the playoffs this year as a team.
So smell you later, McDowell. Johnny, Carson Hocevar. This is a little bit of a longer shot. Now we're starting to dip down here a little bit. Carson's got some Rolls. No, hell no. He was saying.
No.
Don't even waste my time. You're saying, yep.
Yeah. So actually, this is a funny story. When we were back at Daytona, and we met up with you, Derek. But when we were back at Daytona, me and the boys I was with, we did like a little, I don't know, $10 wager between the 4 of us, and we were like, who is the first guy to get to wreck out of the Daytona 500? Mine was Carson Hocevar. He was the first guy to wreck out. So since then, I'm not a believer in Hocevar. I mean, look, I think in the Spire camp, he's probably been the best because Zane Smith has been awful, and Corey LaJoie. I mean, he's like missing in action. So I'm impressed with Hocevar, but he's not making the playoffs. No way.
No way for Hocevar. Yeah, probably a little too early. Noah Gragson for you, Phil. 18.2 last 5. He's got 5 top 10s. He did have, I believe, a 65-point penalty around Las Vegas. So this would be a much higher number had we not had that penalty. But what do you think about Noah Gragson?
Yeah, even without the penalty, he's still like 60 plus out. Would be 19. Which is putting him in a must-win at this point, right? I mean, it'd be pretty miraculous for him to point his way in from this point. I guess it could be done, but they would need to have a stable team. They don't have it. They're all going other places, and little more consistency. And so I would put it at like maybe 7-1. Him making the playoffs, and that's really hinging on essentially Daytona, because he's he's got a decent history on super speedways. But I can't see him getting it done. Tracks like this, they could surprise you. The 10 car, maybe we talk about him later, has been successful. Stewart Haas has been successful. You mentioned Michigan. I don't know Gregson's history there specifically, but I just don't see him winning a race. I see him potentially doing well and better than he has done this first half of the season, but I would put him at 6-1, 7-1 to make the playoffs.
Okay. I like that. Mark, last one for you. You have Ricky Stenhouse Jr. We have a guy here that is a 22.4 average finish in 2024. Just finished top 5 last week. Got 3 top 10s, 2 top 5s on the year. Ricky Stenhouse, smell you later or see you in the playoffs?
Yeah, let me think about it for a second.
Thinking about it?
No.
That was easy. That's it.
Perfect. He's not making the playoffs.
There you go. All right. Hey, you never know. A guy like that, Daytona, who knows?
No.
So not happening. Johnny, Your question is Monday morning headline. We'll read what?
Joe Gibbs Racing dominates the weekend.
Ooh, got some eyeballs with that one. All right, so Joe Gibbs Racing dominates the weekend. Let's move into our ride or fade segment. This may take all of 45 minutes, but let's dive into this conversation here tonight. And if you don't know, it's where the guys give their favorite head-to-head on the board. And Phil, I'm going to kick it off with you first.
All right, I'll try to go quick. I'm going to spit as much out here as I can, but we're going to go. I love the back marker matchups. And
Yes.
Caesars has us with a team bet. Front row, -130 over Spire. That's my lock. On paper, it's a 3 versus 2 matchup. You could take two guys and just throw them completely right out. Zane Smith hasn't had a top 10 all year. Corey LaJoie's average finish on the short flats this year, 30 plus, like dog shit. So get him out of there too. I said on the podcast, like, he should spend less time in the podcast studio like us and actually get in the fucking sim. Like, what are you doing, bro? So yeah, throw him out.
Savage.
That's the matchup now. It's two guys versus one, and it's Carson Hocevar. And I think Johnny said earlier, he's had a pretty decent run. Which is surprising. Like, and he's done well on these types of tracks. Average finish 16.0. And he's got a top 10 to boot. He's been decent on these style tracks. The problem is he's going up against two guys who are right there with him. Todd Gilliland, of all people, is right next to him. Average finish 16.4.
Yep.
He's right there with 1 top 15, 3 top 20s. If you go head to head, these two teams, it's 2-2 so far this season. And then you look at track history. Gilliland's been here only twice, like a 20th and a 26th. That's what you expect him to kind of run. But McDowell has had some general success, and he kind of can pop up from time to time. He had an 8th at Phoenix earlier this year and has had general consistency at this track. Meanwhile, Hocevar has literally never been here, like not in any series. And if it was in like outside of NASCAR, like I couldn't find it. So you look at someone like last year, Ty Gibbs. I don't even know if that was his first time here last year, but he was running well, hit the wall. Like it's his first time at this track. I can't justify taking Spire. I mean, you got two guys who have been generally pretty good. Consistency is key in head-to-head matchups. In this case, a team matchup. And so I'm going to rock with the two guys, two bullets in that gun versus one, and -130. I don't even care that it's juiced.
Okay, so you like the front row side. Johnny, I'll let you go first. You like the front row side over Spire, or you like Spire?
I like the front row side here. I do. I'm high on Michael McDowell. I know we've been kind of going back and forth on the name McDowell, but I saw what he did at Gateway, similar track, kind of the one that I like to comp here. Won the pole, super fast. Obviously, kind of like luck didn't go his way, which kind of happens to him, you know, at tracks that aren't road courses. But I'm leaning the front row side here.
Okay. And Mark, what about you?
Yeah, all front row. Anytime you can fade Corey LaJoie on short flats, do it. Average finish in the 30s. That's piss poor. Zane Smith, stinky. I mean, first time there. All the points Phil laid out. Todd Gilliland, Michael McDowell, all day long. And if you're going to put your eggs in Hocevar's basket, best of luck. Give me front row.
And Ryan, what about you?
Yeah, is that on Caesars, Phil?
Caesars.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm heading
-130.
to Massachusetts Friday night, so I'm hoping that it's legal there because I would definitely take the front row side. So in New York, I can't get it.
It just moved a second ago. It is now 150. -150.
Out of here. I just refreshed before we like even did the rider feed.
I've been watching it this whole time, so it's
That's
-150
insane
right now.
Wow. Okay. Well,
So you still heading over there to bet that? You like 150?
I think I'd still take 150. I'm gonna have to really. I got to see if it's there on Friday night. I'll have to see where it is and how we're feeling.
You only pay the juice if you lose. Like that bet, I can't see that bet losing. So yeah, it sucks. They have to put up a little bit more to get what you want out of it. But like Mark said, you put your eggs in Hocevar's basket. Good luck.
Yeah.
You get a good starting spot with Gilliland's, a decent starting spot at least if practice and qualifying gets rained out. where the Spire guys are pretty far back.
Yeah.
He'd be starting around Hocevar. So, but again, that's what you said. It's really, to me, it's 2 guys against Hocevar. So minus 150, I still think is fair.
Yeah. Well, that happened in real time. So there you go. Good conversation for you there, Phil. Everybody on the same board with the front row. Let's go to Mark. You ready for this? Ladies and gentlemen, clear your schedules.
Yeah. Okay. Bet 365. Bubba Wallace. It was even money last night. It's minus 115. Doesn't fucking matter. Okay. You want to talk about minus 150? Bet it. Okay. Now, I don't need you to book your flight, drive to the airport, lay over in Atlanta, sit uncomfortably for 4 hours, take an Uber to the sports book in Vegas, walk in, place your bet. Okay, no. I need you to call the nearest PJ broker. I need you to get the first available jet to Vegas, helicopter in front to the casino, sprint to the counter, and get your mortgage down on this bet. Okay, let's get to the numbers. Power ranking. Bubba 7th, Kyle 18th. Average running position. Oh, I forgot to mention. I got fired up. 10 comp track races. 2 New Hampshire, 2 Richmond, 2 Martinsville, 2 Phoenix, Gateway, Iowa. In that order. Okay, heavy emphasis on New Hampshire. Average running position on those 10 races. Bubba is 4th in the Cup Series with a 9.8. Kyle Busch, 21.01. That's good for 22nd best in the Cup Series. Now, Kyle did DNF last year, but let us not forget who he was battling with in stage 2 for 27th place. That would be Mr. Spire, Corey LaJoy, Mr. Podcaster, getting the sim. Okay, terrible. It was bad. Okay, Bubba, average finish 5th in the Cup Series, 10.42. Kyle, including 3 DNFs, which that matters here. Okay, we're fading. We include DNFs. We like DNFs. 7 out of 10 finishes outside the top 20 with a 20.71 average finish. Dog shit. I don't care if you want to talk about luck, if you want to talk about this, that. I don't care. 7 out of 10 finishes outside the top 20 in the last 10 comp track races. Okay, that's terrible. Just throw a little cherry on top. iFantasy Race has Bubba with a speed rating of 6th, Kyle 23rd. Our buddy Win the Race, True Performance Ranks, Bubba 11th, Kyle 21st. You want to talk about qualifying? Kyle's a little better in qualifying, but so is Bubba. Bubba's 3rd, Kyle 12th. There's not a single stat that I just laid out that is less than double digits between the two. This is monumental. This is it's not generational, but Sprint, PJ, helicopter, mortgage, Bubba Wallace, minus 115, minus 130, minus 140. I don't care. Kyle Busch is awful. He blame it on the luck, blame it on the speed, blame it on distractions. Oh, I'd go back to my ex-girlfriend. Sure, you would. Okay. Kyle Busch has given up. All right. Mentally, he's done. He's over with. He's gone. Okay. Bubba Wallace also does not have a single DNF in the last 10 comp track races. That's a big deal for Bubba Wallace. Okay. That is a huge, huge, huge deal. I've come on this show, my podcast, talking about Bubba's really fast, but is he going to wreck? Well, short flats, he hadn't wrecked. Kyle's got 3 of them. I'm all in on Bubba. You know, I just, this is not close. Most of the stats are double. I think the tier in the power rankings is like 3 tiers. That's a lot of tiers. Don't ask me how or why, but that's a lot of tiers. So Sprint, Bubba Wallace, Bet 365 over Kyle Busch. Boom.
Okay. Ryan, I'm going to give you the first word.
Yes, I would ride this. If I had Bet 365, I would run, take the chopper, everything you said to place this bet. Personally, I don't think Bubba Wallace is very good, and this is the conversation that we had. But the numbers don't lie. So yeah, I would definitely take this 100% on underdog right now. You can get the better or worse position for Bubba Wallace at 15.5.
Oh, wow.
I really like the better there. And so my big bet of the week on underdog to start the week is Elliott better than 10.5 and Bubba better than 15.5. So I'm on Bubba my own way, and I'll be rooting for Bubba with you. And yeah, I would ride this head to head over Kyle Busch, no doubt.
Phil, I'm going to give you the floor next.
I'm on this. As soon as Mark dropped this in our group chat, I started digging into it. it's a big play for me. And just to put the emphasis on it, I mean, he did a great job laying out the numbers, but we talk about consistency. Bubba on the short flats, you heard it. Let's look at just this racetrack just for a second. Next gen era, we've got 2 top 10s for Bubba. Like he's right there. I've never seen this really before since I've been doing this. 3 of the last 4 New Hampshire races, Kyle Busch has finished dead last. Mm-hmm. That's fucking crazy. And like, I understand like things happen, but that's nuts. He is just cursed at this track. On top of the fact that, imagine, I've been on his wife's Instagram today. She had them taking family pictures today. Like, nothing pisses someone off more than doing that shit. He should be worrying about what's going on with his career, not going out taking family pictures. Like, what? So just all the intangibles are pointing to Bubba Wallace right now.
So come for betting talk. Listen to why family pictures can destroy a human being when it comes to focus on racing.
It's not going to win you any races any best either. I can tell you that for free.
That's right. Johnny, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I echo everything everybody just said. Like I said, this is like my 6th New Hampshire race in a row. Every time I get there, it was first. There's the 18. Oh, 18's in the wall. And there's the 8. Oh, 8's going to be in the wall. Like, there's rain in the forecast. That doesn't bode well for him. He almost friggin' knocked the back fender off the pace car a couple of years ago at New Hampshire. I am peppering the board with Bubba props, top 5, top 10. I always say New Hampshire is kind of a wheelman's track. It's one of those places where once you figure New Hampshire out, it doesn't matter if you're having a terrible season. We've seen it with Brad Keselowski, with Eric Almirola. When you get to New Hampshire and you figured said track out, you just have speed. You can find speed. You run it well. Bubba Wallace, the last 2 years, has figured New Hampshire out. Kyle Busch has not. And I am peppering the board with everything Bubba Wallace. I gave a bunch of Bubba stuff out on my show yesterday. So, yeah, I am all in on this bet. Again, I can only bet on DraftKings and Rhode Island Sportsbook. So you won't be finding me tailing the head-to-head. But I would, I'd take the plane for sure.
You take the plane there for sure. Well, I'll give my opinion. As Lee Corso would say, not so fast, my friends. Here's my argument for it. You ready? I'm not ready to bet this yet because it's at even money. I really want to get some good pricing on the Kyle Busch side if I go that route. But I like what Mark said. You guys laid it out. And looking at what Bubba's done the last 2 times here in the next gen era, 5.5 average finish, that kind of kicks everyone's ass. Kyle Busch has not been terrible when he's running well. I mean, he's been running well and then crashes out. Larson doors him, spins out, throws a temper tantrum. That's all in KFB. Finishes 12th at Sonoma, not a comparable track. Just wanted to throw it in there. I don't know where I land on this quite yet. I can't trust. Now, hopefully, Bubba's in the DraftKings car. That would make the bet probably a little bit different. He's been in there the last 2 years. But I have trust issues with Bubba. Obviously, KFB's not done anything well, but just that running so well, top 5, getting crashed, top 5 again, getting wrecked, or having a 25-cent part or fail on him. So I'm not there yet. I do want to ride with my boys and be there. I did say to you, Mark, on X, this might be a loser leaves town bet. I don't even know what that means, but I felt like I should say it. So I'm going to make a decision, but I'm not going to bet it at -115 if I go the Kyle route. But Phil, I see your hands up.
I just want to respond to the Lee Corso thing. Like, your point is he's been running well, but can't get finishes. Yeah. Like, that's like if the game was over at halftime, Penn State would probably win the national championship. Like,
I totally
that's not how the game's played. You got to finish. Now, because we're talking about this at length, I'm sure we're jinxing this, but I'm knocking on wood. I got my rabbit's foot out and all that, but I don't subscribe right now to he's been running well, but response like that. That is craziness.
Well, I don't subscribe to that because he hasn't been running well. So are we talking about fucking last year? Because on every track we go to this year where we're like, oh, Bubba's good on this track type. Oh, Bubba's probably going to have speed on this track type. He shows up and he's dog shit. So, like, I don't know what's going on with that team this year, but that's the big worry to me is not the bad luck. I just don't think this year things just aren't really clicking with them.
Before you go, Mark, I'm going to let you say something, but I understand it's a terrible argument, but I'm just looking at, man, this guy where he was running, like, it's not like he's been running 27th consecutively and got into a back marker accident. He's been running pretty well and then has bad luck. So will that luck turn around? That was the only thing going through my brain. My brain doesn't work all the time. I mean, we all know that. I'm not the smartest human alive. So maybe this is just me thinking a little bit too much, but Mark, you're my boy. I want to ride with you, but I also want to give you my honest thoughts.
Hold on, Mark. Let me chime in real quick.
Like a typical Yankee.
Again, guys, there's weather in the forecast. If it rains at New Hampshire, it's only going to rain on Kyle Busch's car. If there's a lightning strike,
Johnny's got a point.
Strike Kyle Busch's car. I promise you, he is cursed in friggin' New England. I promise.
Okay. I didn't even think about the rain element there. You might have got me. What were you going to say, Mark, before he said that?
I mean, Ryan has a point, but it's not on short flats. Let me read you these finishes. 3rd, 8th, 12th, 11th, 10th, 16th, 13th, 4th. That's pretty fucking good. Now, I get it. I get it. I've been let down by Bubba Wallace, too. I've come on this show and said Bubba Wallace is looking good on comps. He's going to be fast, 1.5 miles, feeling good, and he's 18th. I get it.
Yeah, but this year on short flats, he doesn't have good finishes. He only has one inside the top 5, and that was at Martinsville, which would be the furthest away from this. Just playing devil's advocate. I don't think he's finished top like 12 on a short flat this season, besides Martinsville. He's finished 17th at Iowa.
Oh, let's go.
13th at Richmond and 16th at Phoenix. So his best finish is 13th outside Martinsville.
35th, 16th, 20th.
But that's still good enough for me to bet him the top over, better than 15.5. That's the thing. Like I understand it. And I'm totally when we get to my head to head, I'm with Johnny. Like some people just get this track. He mentioned the guy that I'm going to mention next for the same exact reasons. So I'm still riding with Bubba in this. I'm just saying like, yes, maybe he has just broken my heart so much this year that I just am like scorned. I don't know. He scares the shit out of me.
So one more thing on Bubba. So finishes fine. Adjusted average running position. I'm not a nerd, so I don't know how they get to this, but Zach sends it to me. Bubba doesn't have his worst average running position adjusted is 12.36 at Gateway. It was 7.97 at Iowa last week, and he finished 17th or 21st, whatever it was. So sorry, that was NLD speed. Fuck, I gotta pull up. Okay, here we go. 14.57 and 15.92. Okay, it's not ideal. But at Richmond 1, it was 6.08, and Martinsville was 3.8. So I understand that the majority of Bubba's good runs have been last year, but you can also focus on the 2 New Hampshire races where he's got 2 top 10s and a third. So and the lightning strike on Kyle. Just go ahead and
and I think everything bad we've said, Kyle Busch has been worse. So even the worst Bubba Wallace probably beats Kyle Busch.
That's probably a perfect way to end that topic. Mark, I did have a question for you though. Do you have any more of those boxes behind you, unboxed race cars that you haven't opened yet?
Yeah, I just moved them right over here.
Why don't you snag? Look at row 2, number 3. I'm hoping for a KFB. Maybe we'll keep going until we get one of the drivers. That's maybe who I'll bet. Ryan, I'm going to let you go next. What's the head-to-head? I know you teased a little something there.
Yeah, that's going back to what Johnny said. I think Brad Keselowski, I took him. I don't mind paying juice on head-to-heads. I think you guys know that by now. It's -140 over Ty Gibbs. If I truly believe in something, I pay the juice on it. I don't care.
Yeah.
So -140. Our Sims had this close. They had Keselowski at -135. That's close enough for me to bite if I really believe in something. As far as like true performance ranks this year, they're tied, in the short flats. It is a short sample, but Keselowski has the 8th best average finish. And now I've been kind of cracking on him lately saying, he gets all these lucky cautions and he always stays out. He always gets yellow at the right time and he's running a little higher. But if we look outside of that and then look at the larger sample size, bring in a little bit of last year, So 2023 and 2024 on the short flats of Phoenix, Richmond, Iowa, New Hampshire. What's kind of crazy is that the only drivers with the best true average running position than him are Byron, Larson, and Hamlin. So he is among all of the elites at this track type in average running position. And over that sample size, that negates me bitching and crying about him getting these lucky cautions all the time. I'm still mad too that I had to buy Mark lunch earlier this year because of that guy. So it's just like he's killed me this year. But this would be the one time where a caution hurts him, probably sticks him in the back of the pack somehow.
Yeah.
But minus 140 over Ty Gibbs. This is not a Ty Gibbs track, in my opinion. No. It's not like he doesn't have a lot of experience here. He didn't win here in Xfinity. And Keselowski, he's got a 5th and a 7th in his only runs here with RFK. He has top 10 finishes here in 16 of his 26 Cup races with 2 wins. So, I mean, he's just he's raced 15 tracks over 20 times in his career, and his best average finish at those 15 tracks is Loudon. So this is his place, just as Johnny said. And all he has to do to win this bet is beat Ty Gibbs. We've seen Ty Gibbs struggle a lot of times in these short flats, especially if we do end up seeing some more tire wear, which is why they brought that tire here. They're hoping for that. I love Brad here. And I believe, if for some reason, if everything gets rained out, he's going to have, 3 or 4 rows better starting position than Ty Gibbs. So, and if they qualify, maybe Ty beats him in qualifying. I wouldn't be worried about it. Be worried with like the long haul, the guys who know how to race here, like Johnny said, Kez can get up front. So give me Keselowski there.
And what was the price you were reading off there? It's at minus 160.
It's at minus 160 now.
It just is minus 160. Yep. That's on Bet 365.
It was close in our sim, so I felt comfortable with the 140, 160. I mean, I don't know if you believe in everything I just said. I don't think the numbers lie. And Keselowski, that's a large sample size. So you got to really think Ty Gibbs has to top 10 to win this matchup and still beat Brad. Good luck. I don't think he can.
Interesting. What about you, Phil?
Sorry, I'm muting myself there. I'm in, and I'll save some time here because I may be talking about him in the next segment.
Okay. I know one of your biggest bets last year, Johnny, was Brad Keselowski. What do you think about this bet here?
Yeah, I mean, one of my biggest bets this weekend already placed 16-1 is Brad Keselowski.
Yep.
I think it was Kyle. Kyle Keselowski lifts the lobster. That's a great Monday morning quote as well.
Yep.
Anything you find Keselowski in a head-to-head being plus money, because he's not going to be matched up against Bell or Truex, you take the bet. He is that good at this racetrack. There's, in my opinion, 4 guys that I think are top tier at this racetrack. It's Bell, Truex, Hamlin at this point, because we don't have Harvick in the series anymore, and Brad Keselowski. And again, the first year, because the next gen car, right, is launched, Keselowski's having an awful season. He comes to New Hampshire, gets a top 5. It's just what he does at this track. So anything plus money, top 5s, top 3s, you got to take your chances on Brad. And yes, Brian, he is running a Boston Red Sox scheme in, an hour from Boston. That is good news if I'm a Keselowski fan. And this weekend, I will be.
There you go. Mark, what do you think about this matchup? And then I want to know your genuine, what you got. What was in that box? Your eyes lit up a little bit there.
Yeah, they did. It's funny. I'm on Brad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 top 10s in the 10 races I'm looking at. Ty Gibbs has 1. I'm a little worried about Joe Gibbs. I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to be pretty good. So, pull a name out of a hat. Okay, one of those 4 is going to be really good. Ty's got the worst chances, but it's possible. I'm going to stay away. I do like Brad this week a lot, but I'm not going to lay the heavy juice on Brad against Ty. Now, the real question is 23-11 or Busch?
Okay. I think I know where you're going.
That's where you have to choose.
Oh, it's a good car.
Kansas race winner, 23-11 or Busch?
So Kurt,
you said it's going to lead you to a bet. So you got to. It's going back to our Kyle Busch Bubba bet. Right. 23-11 or Busch.
This is probably the best car you could have picked because it's Kurt Busch, Kyle's brother. It's 2311 Toyota. Bubba's teammate. I mean, we're right in the middle there. We're crammed in the middle.
Pick your poison.
Do I dare get you to pick another car?
Oh, brother. Better be fucking Kyle Larson.
How about this, Mark? Let's start with you first. And, good segment there. Good conversation. Let's go into position props. We have a lot to cover in a short amount of time. Position props. Generational bet for you, Mark?
I actually saved that for my best bet, so I hope it comes back around to me. I hope we have enough time. I'm going Bubba top 10 plus 220 on Hard Rock. It's a crazy number for a top 10. 2 for 2 last 2 years. You guys know I'm on Bubba this week. He's gonna wreck. There's been way too much positive Bubba talk for me. At this point, this is not a generational bet either. But I do have a significant amount of money because we're not that poor anymore. So Bubba top 10 plus 220. I mean, he's got an average finish on the 10 comps that I'm looking at of 10.42. That's freaking absurd. So I'm on Bubba this week. Did you guys know that? I'll just make sure you guys knew that.
I think I heard that over the last 25 minutes.
Oh, okay.
You might be on
just
him.
Making sure.
Mark, not Mark. Ryan, what about you? Your favorite positional prop?
So I took Chase Elliott top 10.
Yeah.
I got it at minus 135. I think it moved to minus 150 on Fanatics. I'd still take it. He's arguably the best qualifier in this package this year. And if qualifying's canceled, he's on the pole with the best pit stall. So, I mean, there's a lot to like here. I like him if he qualifies. I like him if they don't qualify. In my true performance ranks, he's number 1 on the short flat tracks this season with the second best average finish. So he is just showing up every week. If we look at speed only, and I take out everything else I put into the true performance ranks, he's still number 2. So he's got top 5 finishes in 3 straight in this package. And when he didn't finish in the top 10, it was at Phoenix, but I did still have him with the 10th best true performance rank at that track. I know a lot of people are a little skeptical about HMS here, and that's fine because JGR typically does dominate at this track. I totally understand that. And we have our guys who can race here like Logano and Keselowski and, everything Johnny was saying earlier. But HMS this year is a little different in this package. Historically, they kind of would fall off just a little bit, as the season went on in this package, but they're running so strong right now. I have a feeling that Mark's going to talk about another one of these later. I don't know if you mentioned the Bubba one. I don't know if we're going to talk about Kyle Larson at all tonight, but I love Kyle Larson here too. I don't know. I have them 1-2 in this package, so I don't know. We're not far removed from Chase Elliott being easily the second best car at this track for an entire race. So they can do it here. I think he's got 3 top 10s here over his last 6 races. So I'm not afraid of Hendrick this weekend. And I think Elliott's in the best spot if it gets rained out. And he's in a great spot even if they have to go out there and qualify their way to a good track position. So give me Chase Elliott top 10.
Well, Chase Elliott here in the next gen, he's got an average finish of 7th, got a second place finish in 2022 and 12th in 2023. So right there with what you're saying with that top 10 bet. Phil, what about yourself?
I'll keep things easy and quick for the sake of time here. Brad Keselowski minus 140 is available on Caesars for a top 10. And it's, 4 for 4 this season on the short flats that I care about. 5 for 5 in the last 5 races at New Hampshire, tied with Truex for the best average finish here in that time span. Keselowski, for all the reasons we've talked about, top 10. I mean, I like the Gibbs play. It seems like that's getting pretty juiced. It's up to 165, so that thing's moving from what I can see on Caesars. So top 10, though, I focus on just him and where he's at. He's clearly has the ability to do it. Okay.
Johnny, close this out here, my man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm riding Phil here. Does Rhode Island Sportsbook think I'm stupid? Brad Keselowski minus 140 for a top 10. Do they think I'm stupid? I mean, come on. I will stop at Twin River Casino on my way up and put my salary on that. You have to go. Like minus 140 for a top 10 for, again, one of the best guys that we continue to talk about. It's criminal. I think if we're looking for a big top 10, something to hit and make us some money, plus 500 for Mike McDowell. Last year, finished top 15 here. Again, what we saw at Gateway, The only thing that scares me a little bit, like you guys said, if qualifying and practice and whatnot gets rained out, I don't think that's not going to favor McDowell. But again, he showed me something at Gateway, and I keep listening to him. He seems super confident. Maybe, you know, that could be good, that could be bad, but he's like, we're going to win a race this season. And besides like Chicago, or rather, he says win a race to make the playoffs. Besides like Chicago, I mean, I don't know where else he would be talking about. I feel like maybe this is one of the tracks, short, flat, again, a lot of tendencies like Gateway. So Michael McDowell plus 500. I think you can sprinkle a little something on there and feel pretty good about that. But yeah, minus 140. I mean, are we stupid? No, we're not. We're betting that.
Well, if Brian Murphy's listening, Brian, you better be tightening those wrenches just a little bit tighter here on that 6 car this weekend. Johnny really needs a good run. Maybe polish it up a little bit, rain or shine. So, Johnny, I'm going to stick with you because I'm curious to hear what you have to say from a betting perspective as we look at the outright odds. Is there a favorite outright on the board? Does Rhode Island Sportsbook think you're stupid for something else at all?
So it's tough here because I assume this is a lot. I've got a couple up here, but you're looking around the plus 4 to 1, 4.5 to 1 for Christopher Bell. Like, I think Bell is going to be really darn good. And I literally said on my show last weekend, you won't find me betting anything like less than 5 to 1 for an outright winner. You're just going to not find. I'm not going to do it. But I probably will end up doing it with Bell. Now, like, again, maybe if some stuff gets rained out, that might help our favor. He might slide. Probably not, though, because he still finished and like ran through the field at Iowa. But I mean, to me, he seems like the guy that's going to deliver here. He's obviously racing on Saturday. He's plus 100 to win that race, which is crazy. But you know, if I'm looking for value, I'm going to say his name again. It's 16 to 1 for Brad Keselowski. I bet it last year. I think it was like 40 to 1, and he broke my heart. He had a top 5 car, but that's about it. I really like 16 to 1 there. And then one other guy that we mentioned, and we felt confident that he probably will end up making the playoffs. That's Joey Logano, right around that 9 to 1 number. The Connecticut guy. It would be something else to see him win up in the Northeast in what hasn't really been the greatest season for him. Sure, we saw the All-Star race win, but I think 9 to 1 for Joey Logano. Cindric has had his day. Blaney has had his day. I think Logano's day is coming, and 9 to 1 I feel like is pretty good value to get Joey at.
Okay. And you also said something on your pod or your show as well, Johnny, where Christopher Bell, every time he's entered a Xfinity race at New Hampshire, he's always won. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct. I believe he's like LeVar Ball. He's never lost.
Oh, there you go. LeVar Ball gets called out.
He's going for that. Yeah. So
I like it.
Yeah. Hey, one more. I know we're not giving Xfinity bets, but Justin Bonsignore 40 to 1 in a Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota in the Xfinity race. Anybody listening, throw your money on that.
Taking over your boy Almirola this week, who was supposed to be slated in the car. Not to make you upset or mad there. Worm says that Bell 4.5 to 1 price there. Get it now if you can. If that number's still available, that will not be there tomorrow. So make sure you grab that. What about you, Mark, from an outright perspective?
So I'm actually going to loop both of my next 2 bets into this one because they're on the same guy, and I'm just going to be regurgitating the same information. And that guy is Kyle Larson. Okay. The books, they think Kyle Larson is going to be, I don't want to say dog shit, but they apparently think that Kyle Larson is not going to be Kyle Larson this week. They think maybe somebody else is in it. Maybe Justin Allgaier. I don't know what they're thinking, but I hit him 7.5 to 1. But the generational bet, this is what you've all come here to see. Listen to me blabble about bullshit. Kyle Larson, top 5, plus 125, Hard Rock Sportsbook. There might be a better number out there. I don't care. I don't need to see anymore. He's second in the model, 3rd in NLD speed, 3rd in average running position, 3rd in driver rating, 4th in average finish. He finished 3rd here last year. Had the field mopped last week at Iowa. He was very fast at Gateway a couple weeks ago, and then gotten a little scufflebutt with Kyle Busch, everyone's favorite fade this week. Kyle Larson is still Kyle Larson. I understand that Christopher Bell is good. I understand that. I understand Denny Hamlin's probably going to be good. We've named a couple other guys, Elliott, Keselowski. Truex probably going to come out of his ass and have a stellar day. Kyle Larson is still Kyle Larson, and the books are giving us these monster odds, which allows us to bet him top 5 at plus money. Every single stat I just rattled off was top 5. I mean, those are all the stats that I look at going into a weekend. It's unbelievable. I mean, he finished 3rd here last year. So take the finishes out the last couple of weeks, replace them with the eye test on how fast he's actually been. And Kyle Larson is still Kyle Larson. Go bet him top 5. Go bet him to win 7.5. Drake said he was 875 at Circa. I know there's not a lot of NASCAR bettors at Circa, but by golly, yeah, go ahead and schmirk that one.
There you go. So you couldn't wait to give your best.
No, I couldn't wait.
No,
generational.
Generational. That's right. Not you're what 2-0. You're 1-0 with generational bets. I think
2-0. Two in the same weekend.
And would you give tonight? Like 3 of them?
No, I said Bubba wasn't a generational.
What about you? What about you, Ryan?
Well, early I took Chase Elliott at 20 just to sprinkle when it opened. Just because of everything I mentioned earlier and the fact that he can, if it does get rained out, he'll start in the pole with the best pit stall. I'm not necessarily sure he needs that if they qualify. I think he qualifies well. But I do like Bell. We have an aggregate rank on Win the Race of Joe, Greg, and myself. Sometimes I don't believe it. Like, none of us had Larson number 1 at Sonoma, but the aggregate of all our scores had Larson number 1 and he just crushed. And so they might have Bell 1 here. I don't have Bell 1 right now. I have Larson, but it's like basically a 4-way tie. It's Bell, Truex, Larson, and Elliott in my model. But when we aggregate it all together, it is, Chris Bell does come out on top. And so I'd be probably looking at like the longer number on Keselowski, like Johnny said, or, if you're taking this short Bell number, he's just so fucking good here. He has won every Xfinity race. He's even money for the Xfinity race. It just tells you a lot about it. Extra track time is not something this guy needs, and he's going to get it. And if it does get rained out, he starts on the 2nd row. So yeah, I don't mind taking the low number on Bell because probably well after qualifying anyways. I don't know. So Bell, Kez, Elliott's still at 14. I don't mind it if someone, wanted to get a little frisky on that, just to sprinkle on that one. Our Sims still have that as value, barely, but still value. So those would be my guys right now.
Speaking of getting frisky with the camera there, Phil, I'm going to throw it over to you with the outright bet.
Yeah, I was just trying to see. I couldn't see the number here that I was looking at, the most updated.
That was an old man move there that you did.
I forgot I was on video. Yeah. I can't get over, Johnny talked about Logano and him being at up and around 9-1. I think he's clearly, if you look at his progression through this season on the short flats, he's been getting better and better. And if he were to win this weekend, it would not be a surprise to anyone. It would be like, yep, here we go. So it would also help Brian and I and our over 1.5 for that. So, but I looking for somebody a little deeper in the field. Logano is definitely there. He would be starting like 15th, I think, if it rained out. But I just wanted to call this out. We've been talking about where they're starting if it gets rained out. I do on my podcast, I do the track stats where the winners have started from. And this is by far the lowest percentage of starting in the top 5 and top 10 of any track that we go to. And it has the most of starting outside the top 20. So it's weird because it feels like a track that would be like track position would matter a lot, but very strange that that's the case. So I'm not necessarily scared off by it, but I'll be the guy who talks about Truex, I guess. Did I miss anybody else talking about him?
No, I don't think his name came up.
550. I mean, if it gets rained out, he's starting top 5. If it doesn't, I think he's starting better than that. And that 550 number would disappear. He won all 3 stages last year. And this goes to the point that I think Johnny was making. Like you come back to this racetrack, doesn't matter how your season's been going. If you have figured it out, you're a force to be reckoned with. You are in the game. Your hat is in the ring. And he is someone that has figured it out. Like, his stats at this racetrack are better than anybody's, with the exception of Keselowski, depending on how you're slicing it. And, you know, there's also a cadence when you're looking back at like back-to-back winners.
Yep.
If that's the case, if that pattern were to continue, he would be the winner this week. So 550, I guess that's the conversation I'm trying to have here. Like, if they do get to practice, I think that dips down and gets shorter. But I'm comfortable taking with somebody who's been consistently good and could be, you know, really what this team is looking for. So I think they're hitting this track at the right time.
And Jerry asked a good question here on YouTube. He was asking about where do you find the starting positions with the metrics? Look on JSki, they have it there. They have it posted, and then you can look at who's in qualifying A, B, and find the metrics that way. That's always an easy way to do it. Bob always puts it out as well, but a good way there. I'm going to give you, Phil, the opportunity here to start the best bets, and then we'll quickly wrap around for our final goodbyes. But best bet you got?
Oh man, if we had more time, I would get into why there's a Harrison Burton bet out there that's hilarious. And
okay.
I got Cody Zeebs texting me like, "Yo, I'm into that," because he must have heard me talk about it. But for the sake of the podcast, I'll keep it quicker. I think it's interesting to sprinkle a little bit on a 4-1 for Noah Gragson, top 10. He hasn't done it yet this season on this style track, but he's been close. 2/12, 16th last week. But this race team, we know it. Anybody that's been following the sport knows Amarola's success here. Stuart Haas seems to find something. Fords in general do well here. I think you need to be on the Ford camp overall. So, you know, Berry was somebody where my mind went to right away, but his number for a top 10 was like -110 on the books that I was looking at. I was like, who could I get a little bit better value? 4-1 for his teammate. And he finished 4th here in the Xfinity, got DQ'd. So that's kind of a race from the record books. We got to remember that. So he's someone that I think is frisky at a longer number, since we haven't really been talking about that too much tonight. Someone in a longer type of bet.
And what about you, Ryan?
I think that the bets I've talked about are my best bets. I don't have any more.
That's fine.
There's no like long value I would go for this week.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. And Mark, we heard what you said about your Larson top 5.
Don't worry about me. That's all I got.
What about you, Johnny?
Sorry about that. Trying to unmute.
You're good.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've given out a lot of stuff. I think I know the bet that Phil was talking about, Harrison Burton's finishing position. It's at 27.5. As crazy as this sounds, I'd probably take the under, just because old Pops knows a thing or two about this racetrack.
Okay.
But quite frankly, yeah, like, I wish there was more value on the board this weekend. There just doesn't really seem to be. You know, you got 4 guys hovering around like 5, you know, the 5-1 number. So, I think there's a lot of good bets around here. I still really like that Bubba Wallace top 10. If you can get it right around that +120 number. But yeah, I think right now, you know, I'm high on Brad Keselowski and I'm high on Christopher Bell.
What's up, Phil?
I'm going to steal everybody else's time, and I'm going to talk about that bet.
Let's do it.
27.5. This opened at 28.5. Somebody else, other people are taking this bet. It's crazy. 27.5 is the number. He's 2 for 2 at this racetrack under that number.
Yeah.
He's 2 for 4 this season, getting under that number. And you're looking at this racetrack last year. He was like 21st in speed, 16th late in a run. Like, for whatever reason, now he's fighting for his job. There's a lot of reasons why this bet is fun. I love the over-unders when they're high numbers like this, because you get to bet on guys you don't usually do that for. I have faded Harrison Burton all season long in matchups whenever they get him. Now they don't even offer them because he's such dog shit. But this week in particular, situational bet, I already took 27.5.
I like him.
There's one more. He is the biggest underdog on Rhode Island Sportsbook. It's Group H. It's Corey LaJoie, Zane Smith, John Hunter Nemechek, who, again, if there's rain in the forecast, his car will be up in turn one into the wall pretty soon. He's plus 325, Harrison Burton. So again, Pops knows a thing or two about this track. Plus 325. I mean, look, I don't like to give out Harrison Burton bets on the program.
That's not your thing.
But I think we might have to because
no one's thing.
Yeah. But
put Matt back in the car.
I saw that bet too, Phil, and it was interesting to me because I just feel like the last time I saw him here, he was like racing pretty well. So yeah, I don't know. Let's have some fun, right, chat? Let's have some fun with Harrison Burton this weekend.
Harrison Burton getting some love. LeVar Ball, Harrison Burton, all are talked about names here tonight. Phil, real quick, let everybody know where they can best support you, my man.
At Full Tank Phil, Instagram and Twitter, and the podcast is Full Tank with Phil. Anywhere you get them, anywhere you listen to this, and let me know who you're on this week. Exciting time with you guys tonight. Appreciate it. I know we went a little over because of me probably, but I appreciate the conversation and everybody in the chat. This has been great. So should be a fun weekend at New Hampshire here.
Not because of you at all. We talked about a matchup for 25 minutes. Mark, let everybody know where they can best support you.
Yes, sir. Lane Coin Audio be out in 3 hours, maybe. I don't know. Which depends on when Rory shows up, but YouTube will be out Friday. And thank you guys. Johnny, good to see you. Have fun this weekend watching cars go around a flat track in a circle turning left. Love you, boys.
Well, it looks like your podcast co-host is awake. And, and he's right there. So, Ryan, what about you? How can everybody support you?
Wintherace.info. Everything, betting, DFS, stats, all the goods. This was a lot of fun, guys. I loved it. Mark, we got to get a Matty D shirt made with "Make the 21 Great Again" on the back. We can do that
with both of our logos on it. We're doing that.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like that. What about you? What about you, Johnny? Thanks for joining us, man. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a good time. If anybody's going to the track, make sure you hit up Johnny. I saw a few people in the chat going, so make sure you guys get connected. But Johnny, how can everybody support you?
Yeah, well, first, Ryan, Mark, Phil, Derek, appreciate you guys having me on. A lot of fun. Ryan, love your stuff, by the way, with Win the Race. Great stuff.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. Johnny on the Track on YouTube at JOTT_podcast. On X, Johnny on the Track on Action Network. Tuesdays, usually around 7 p.m. is when the show comes out, both on the NASCAR Betting Preview Show podcast feed as well as my YouTube channel. Don't worry, Bob. I got my rain gear. I'll have it. Don't worry. Like I said, I'll be at the race. I'll be wearing my Christopher Bell shirt. So feel free to stop by. Like I said, the three guys I'm going with, first timers at a race. So we got to show them a good time. So if you see me, I want you to knock a beer over these fellas' heads because we need them turned into to NASCAR fans. And let's just hope we win some money and go Harrison Burton. I never thought I'd say that, but
no, I never thought I'd hear anybody say that for sure. But Mark and Ryan, if you guys make a shirt, I know a company, Custom Patch Hats, they could make it for you. So everybody follow the NASCAR Betting Preview Show at NASCAR BPS on X. Make sure you like and subscribe here to the In Between Media channel and follow me on X as well. Good conversations here tonight, Ryan or Mark. You got some? Oh, you're just pointing up.
Winners.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week as the series goes to Nashville and Butterbean's racing in the truck race.